Hello, I've had my Mutt GT-SR250 now for over 6 months. We've done over 1,200 miles, so I thought I'd do a quick video all about it, a quick review of the Mutt 250. We'll do an introduction to the bike. We'll talk about a couple of the small mods that I've made, what I like about the bike. We'll take it for a ride to go through the riding experience, what I don't like about the bike, talk about who would buy this bike, is it still current these days, and finally, my one big regret about buying this bike. So let's kick off with an introduction to Mutt, who they are, what this bike is, and a little overview of the bike. So Mutt is based in Birmingham. They build small bikes, 125s and 250s, based on a Suzuki engine which is made under license in China. The GT SR250 has the 4-stroke single-cylinder engine with 17 brake horsepower. It's a 5-speed manual and you've got 18 Newton meters of torque. So despite the fact the frame and the engine are made in China, the bike itself is assembled in Birmingham, and all the little bits and pieces Mutt do themselves to make it a very desirable and attractive bike. Now the GT-SR is one of their most recent introductions, that and the Mushman. Most of the bikes pretty much have the same frame and engines, it's just the bling and the accessories that are different. So this particular model has the 15-litre tank. It has a dry weight of 130 kilos. That's one of the things I love about this bike, is the lightweight. We've got LED headlight and indicators, and the current price for this bike is £4,250 plus on the road charges. So what modifications have I made to the basic model? Well, the two main mods I've made are, I've switched out the mirrors. I've got rid of the big bug-eye mirrors and I've got bar end mirrors. And speaking of the bars, I got rid of the big wide bars that seem to be standard on every Mutt, and I've put clip-ons because I've been riding sports tourers and cafe races my entire life since the age of 19, and I just prefer this kind of position on the bike. It's just more comfortable to me. I didn't really get on with sitting up high, so they're the only two mods I've made to this bike. Some people find the seats a bit hard. I find the seat is fine, and a lot of people mod the suspension as well, but again, for my purposes, the suspension so far has been fine. So let's go through what I like about the bike, and that is, for me, number one is the looks. They look the bee's knees, the ant's pants, the cat's whiskers. I think they are really cool looking bikes. Other thing I like about it is the sound. We'll listen to the sound when I start it up in a moment. I love the lightweight. It's really easy to move around in the garage, on the drive, maneuvering. And if you need to get it in and out of a motorhome, or in and out of a camper van, or in and out of a van, this is so much easier than the 200 kilo Thruxton I used to have. I really love that's why I wanted this bike. I wanted a lightweight bike. And then of course, because you've got this 250 engine, which of course is not hugely powerful, it's a 250, with the lighter frame and the lighter bike, it obviously makes it that bit nippier. So what I like about the engine is that, to me, it's just enough. We'll talk about that when we ride the bike. I like the fact that every Mutt has a double seat and handles at the back, and so basically you can strap a bag to the back. You don't need to wear a rucksack. It's actually one of the things that's also put me off the Maving, the electric bike, which I think is just stunning, but the single bobber seat just isn't for me. I like the double seat simply for the practicality, not for carrying pillions, but you can put a bag on the back. You've got these handles here that you can strap a bag to. So for me, that is essential. So I love that aspect of it. And finally, the great thing about having a Mutt is their Facebook page, the owners group Facebook page. It's friendly, it's popular, there's plenty going on, but mostly supportive. And if you've got a problem, there's always someone there who's going to help you out. So they are what I really like about it. Now, of course, let's start it up and listen to it, because that's got to be one of the best things. And then we'll go for a ride. So. Oh. Now a 250cc engine is never going to set the world alight, but it is more than enough to put a great big stupid grin on my face. The bike pulls away sharply, but the torque does tail off, of course, over about 40 miles an hour. You can't overtake someone who's doing 40 mile an hour in a 60 zone without having a huge, long, clear view ahead. So sometimes if you're stuck behind someone who's going a little bit slow, it can be a bit frustrating. Now the ride is pretty hard, the seat is hard, and some Mutt owners have changed their shocks and they've also changed their seat. But honestly, for this kind of riding I do, and mostly it's under an hour when I'm on the bike, for me it's been absolutely fine. The comfort and the handling have just been absolutely fine. As far as the speed goes, if you have a headwind, you might struggle, once the engine's run in of course, to get over 50 to 60 miles per hour. Otherwise, if there's no headwind and it's good conditions, you can just about get 70 miles an hour out of the bike. But 70 miles an hour is not sustainable over long periods because you just feel like you're thrashing your bike, and you do get vibration in your right hand which can cause pins and needles. So yeah, you can do 70, but it's not really comfortable. So the bike is most at home on smaller roads, on country lanes and buzzing about town, where its lightweight and flickability makes it, in my opinion, far more of a joy to ride than a big and heavy, powerful motorcycle. Now let's talk about what I don't like about this bike that I've noticed since ownership. I think number one for me is removing the seat. You've got to unbolt the indicators to remove the seat, which is a massive faff. Their reputation is inconsistent, I think is the word I use. I have had no problems at all with my bike in riding it over 1200 miles now through the winter in 6 months of ownership. Zero problems at all. Some people you see on the Facebook group do have problems. Always remember that people who have problems are going to be way more vocal than the majority of people who don't have problems. However, the only thing I've really disappointed about is corrosion on the exhaust. So the exhaust has corrosion on it, which I don't think is very good after only 6 months of ownership. I'm either going to have to tape it or maybe even paint it with VHT paint. So I'll be interested to know if anyone's painted an exhaust with VHT paint, how they've got on. I met a guy the other day with a Royal Enfield 350 that was of a similar age and mileage, and his black exhaust was immaculate compared to mine. So that I'm disappointed about, but the rest of it, the quality has been actually absolutely fine. Another thing I'm not keen on when the bikes come out of the dealership are the big wide bars. I didn't have any confidence for filtering when I had the big wide bars, so I've changed them for clip-ons. But as a result of that, I now find the riding position is just a little bit compact for me. I do like the feeling of being over the tank, but then the bottom half of me is now feeling a little bit cramped. But so yeah, that's probably why they put these big wide bars on, but I just don't find them I don't find it very engaging with the bike, and I find it not very confidence inspiring if I'm filtering in traffic with these big wide bars. I filter much easier with these narrow clip-ons. And then finally, no fault of the bike itself, and that is other people. other people's perceptions of bikes like this. Oh, it's a Chinese bike, forgetting that the new Triumph 400s are actually made in India and that 80% of all Triumphs are now manufactured in Thailand. Most motorcycle manufacturers outsource the manufacturing of the engine or the frame or whatever to other countries. Mutt is no exception. And to me, there is snobbery involved around this. So actually one of the reasons I like having this bike is the inverted snobbery of actually being a biker and riding something like this through the winter. Most people who ride these are actually what I would consider to be proper bikers, and it's the criticisers with their garage queens who are actually making a mockery of themselves. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. Finally, the biggest downside I would say of one of these is depreciation. That ties in with the reputation and the perception. But yeah, these things depreciate like a lead balloon, and we'll come to that in just a second. So, who would buy a bike like this? This bike is up against other competitors such as the Royal Enfield 350, other niche 250s, and of course the Triumph Twin 400s. In fact, the Speed Twin is only £750 more than this. So who would buy this? Well, there's no denying that something like a Royal Enfield or a Triumph is going to be maybe more reliable, it's going to have better resale, better residuals, far more practical. But who buys a motorbike to be practical? I look at the new Speed 400 from Triumph, and it's a lovely bike and it's got so much going for it, but there's just this clinical element about it that I just can't consolidate with. Whereas the Mutt is what a motorbike should be. It's cool, it's quirky, it's got character, it's got personality, and there's something quite a little bit naughty about it, and it's an underdog. So I really like that. You know, the Brits love an underdog, and I'm no exception. Mutt is a bit of an underdog. I like that, and that's what really appeals to me. Though this kind of a bike is ideal for someone's first bigger bike after passing their license, or like me, returning to motorcycling after a break of a few years. So I returned after a break of 4 or 5 years, and it's been brilliant because you're not going to kill yourself by over accelerating from 70 miles an hour, because you can't. Now, because of the lightweight, it's flickable, it's easy to ride, it's easy to load into a motorhome or into a van. It's ideal to poodle around the town, go to the coffee shop. It's ideal to poodle around the countryside. Last night we went for a lovely ride around the lanes around here. And it's ideal for shorter commutes. Where you would not want a bike like this is if you're doing high mile trips, long journeys, if you're doing fast journeys on dual carriageways, on motorways. Yeah, you could do a couple of hours on a dual carriageway on this bike, but it would be really tough on you, on your body and everything, and it'd be tough on the bike as well, on your psyche, everything. Whereas to do high speed, long distances would be far more relaxing and far less challenging on a much bigger, more powerful bike. Also, I don't think it's quite fair on the bike to hold the throttle open for hours on end. It would do it, but yeah, it's not what it's made for. It's made for basically 90% of what most people want a motorbike for. So what's my one big regret about buying this bike? My one big regret is the fact that I bought this bike brand new. There's nothing wrong with the bike at all. I love it, and it served me well. I've got the warranty, I've got the free AA with buying new, and I've got the dealer support, which I've not needed. But yeah, the depreciation is quite stunning. I bought this for £4,250, and I would be lucky to get £3,000 for it now after just 6 months, which is quite a hit. I don't think Royal Enfields, or especially the new Triumphs, are going to depreciate that much. So that's the one thing I wish I had bought a nearly new used example with just a few hundred miles on the clock. Now trust me, keep an eye on the Facebook pages for Mutt owners, and well looked after bikes are always coming up 1 or 2 years old for a song. And yeah, I kind of wish I'd done that, because I bought this to return to biking. It is fabulous. I'm not getting rid of it, but I am now looking at getting a bigger bike for longer distances, because this bike, I just can't stop riding it. I love it. It has reignited my love of motorcycling and my passion for riding, and I absolutely love it. But now I want something a bit bigger, because I want to bike even more. I never thought for 1 minute that over 6 months of winter I would be riding this over 1,200 miles. So now the summer's here, I just want to ride. So I might get something bigger for longer distances, but would I get rid of this? Not unless I really have to, because it's just way too much fun. So I hope you found that useful. I hope you enjoyed that video. Of course, before I sign off, I need to go and get the 2 stars of the channel, and then we'll say goodbye. Right. So, I hope you enjoyed that video, folks. I'd like to say a big thank you to Sasha from the channel Veersind Camper for the lovely fleece. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't already, and it just leaves me to say, from Ted, from Dougal, and from me, Ted! Thanks for tuning in. Ted, stop it. No, yeah, I love you, Ted, but no kisses on the mouth, please. That's disgusting. Dougal. Dougal? Did you enjoy that? Are you having fun, Dougal? You having fun, Dougal? He never smiles. Oh, Ted.